Welcome back to the Best of the West presented by the Gundam Evolution.
Next stream match spot, one of those two teams will make it. We have, I think that's maybe most of the teams that we didn't get a chance to see, but huge thank you to every single one of you for playing in this tournament. This is one of the biggest tournaments that we've had, and it's great to see so many teams entering.
Yeah, we had a fantastic showing, right? Almost 14 teams registered for today's games. Unfortunately, we were so close to hitting 16, just not able to round out their rosters. But make sure, if you got some friends, definitely check it out and maybe try and compete. It's been so much fun just watching the evolution and growth of a lot of our squads. Even though they have to face off against teams like Mafty, like Char, it's still a fun time regardless. So if you want to if you have 5 other friends to try and check it out, go ahead and register for our next events. Also, as well, want to take a moment to shout out our Matcherino page. If you want to contribute to our $1,000 prize pool, of course, it is only going, I say prize pool, but it's only going to our first place squad. So it's all in. It's only our winners that will be walking away with that. But if you want to contribute, just go to Matcherino. There are multiple ways. You can, of course, directly donate, but there are also multiple quests there that are free for you to help and bump that up just a little bit. Right now, though, we're just waiting on our map picks and bans for this match, and it looks like we are ready to get into it. We've had a lot of Flak Fort banned out. Hopefully, this is the series where maybe we will finally be seeing it. Our first ban coming out, it's going to be Thermal Plants.
A lot of Thermal Plant bans today. We're also going to be seeing Flak Fort banned, which is just banned all the time now, and I'm not sure why. Harbor City, though, from our first event being the most banned map to being now the most played map, I think that is pretty wild. You'd love to see it, though. I'm a big fan of that map. And Mountain R&D Lab, another great domination map. We only got a chance to see it once today, but now we're definitely going to at least be able to see it twice.
Yeah, Colony Trading Post will find itself in the wayside in the second round of bans, leaving us only 2 maps remaining. Underground Command Center is gone, and it will be Quarry. So, Harbor City, Mountain R&D, and Quarry. Those are seeming to be our 3 most picked maps so far for this event.
We've certainly seen them a lot on broadcast. I always wonder what happens off broadcast, but we, for sure, like you said, have seen this so many times. But that does mean that we get a chance to know how these teams are going to be playing on them. We've got to see both Sotoras and Tekka Dynasty, I believe, on Harbor City. No, actually, we didn't get to see Sotoras. We got to see Tekka Dynasty on Harbor City for sure earlier. We got to see Sotoras on Mountain R&D Lab, and we can get at least a little bit of a sense of how they want to approach these maps. Tekka Dynasty was extremely strong on the offense, one of the strongest teams on the offense to go up against either of the kind of Mafty teams so far today.
Yeah, and interesting enough, it's starting off on Harbor City. I really do like it just because we get to see if teams want to put a little bit more focus and try and pick out, pull out their pocket pick of a Gym Sniper and try their hands at it. But some other teams kind of forego that one and go the route, of course, the tried and true of the Pale Rider in that regard. So I'm excited to see where we go in that regard. But we are going to go ahead and take a short break as we get the match set up. When we get back, it'll be our first match here in the lower bracket for the Best of the West. So we'll be right back right after this. All right, welcome back to Best of the West in our first lower bracket match of the day. Both of these teams fighting to keep their tournament hopes alive to move on to tomorrow's games. It's going to be Tekka Dynasty versus Sotoras, and we're starting off on Harbor City.
Yeah, let's see who our first team to make it into the top 4 of losers is. Or I guess I could say technically the top 4 that is in losers. Hawklight, we saw earlier, amazing job so far on the Gym Sniper. Is going to be back on that Gym Sniper. And on Sotoras' side, so far, we're not seeing anybody lock into it. We will see probably this locked in just because this is defense for them starting off, which means they're not going to have time to switch around. So no Gym Sniper is an interesting choice. They do have the Turn A, which is effectively a sniper, as well as the new Gundam, which can do quite a bit of damage from ranged, but that's going to leave a lot of the pressure gone on Hawklight, who's already been doing so well.
Yeah, and more worrying is that transition. Once A gets taken, how do you really apply pressure with this kind of composition when it comes to fighting over that bridge without having something like a Pale Rider? Really, you can't apply that same kind of pressure on to a Sazabi that are peeking corners, especially when you've got the new type as well to back up with extra. But right now, we do have the rollout coming from Tekka Dynasty. Again, they'll be relying upon Hawklight to try and find that initial pick. He is playing in that death ball, just poking away at that Sazabi shield, just to force them back.
Ooh, I like that we're seeing the POV of Hawklight just trying to get these shots off. Playing pretty safe right here. I do like the fact that there's so many defensive options in the front of Hawklight, using a lot of these shields. And we're also going to see a robot, which is, of course, classically a support player within these tournaments, on this Unicorn for a map where there's not usually that many people grouped up until the second point. But just starting it off on this, they're definitely pushing as a team, and it's working very well for them.
Yeah, this is just excellent pressure. They take out the Sazabi early on and then continue to try and snowball off of that without having that big tanky front line. It allows them to just free fire here. Hawklight still in the back line, of course, with that sniper now. So they're trying to find an angle. Royal Penman actually in the flanks position. Nostalgia does have to be careful as he gets sent to the sky. There's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange, and no one's even back there. There we go. They'll be able to get that repair gun down and get him back on up. And so point A will be going the way of Tekka Dynasty. We'll see if Sotoras have any swap-offs here to try and defend and be a little bit stronger, but I don't know if anyone who's down right now really wants to swap off.
Right, I feel like this was a commitment to this team comp because they didn't want to try to go for that Gym Sniper, and they wanted to defend this particular point a little bit more than the first point. We are going to see Snore Bossman, who did so much damage on that Unicorn, on the Unicorn. This is going to be a great spot for it, but this is the first time I think that we've actually seen both teams running that Unicorn. That little bit of extra armor that you can see on everybody's health is what it got as a buff. Oh no! Thrown! Oh, it was throw to throw. That's actually a dangerous spot to get thrown because you can throw completely over that wall into the ocean, but oh my gosh, there are so many suits getting downed right here. That is going to be most of Tekka Dynasty going down. That's a full team wipe.
Yeah, that's why you can't just relish in the counter throw there, as Sotoras now will be able to use that to basically reestablish themselves in this position, allow themselves to try and fight back at the very least. A robot, though, will have that Unicorn G maneuver up in just a short moment. Keiichi on the side of Sotoras, though, is the only one with a G maneuver for his squad. Possibly Garma with a nice little flank might be able to get that punch. And we know how strong the punch is, but it looks like a robot is setting up to push forward with his squad. G maneuvers getting popped now. It's going to be Keiichi going for his first. Garma has his punch ready, but he doesn't have the HP behind it, and he will fall. That's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. The repair comes out to get Garma back into things. Nostalgia with the butterfly, the 3-man straight into the back to get onto the point to pull back the rest of the defenders. We'll see if he can win this 1v1. He's got the backup, and now he goes for the throw just for a little bit more defense, and Garma goes down. The first tick going the way of Tekka Dynasty. We'll see how much more they can pick up.
Honestly, an amazing defensive throw to just move backwards. I think it's a really cool way to use it, and seeing it's on range. We are going to see Snow Boss Man activate that G maneuver and get 2 picks with it. That is going to at least put a huge dent in this offensive pressure. They are getting really close to that third tick. It looks like they might pick it up, but they are so low. Hawklight going down, and only Unruly left. That will be mostly prevented. Codename Mood is really far forward, but that actually might just be in a stagger. It will be a stagger, going down a little bit later than everybody else on the team. That means they're going to have to wait. They're trying to hold a forward position so they don't have to deal with the choke point. They're going to get a few picks as well, but this is a weird kind of like stream in of players.
That does allow them, though, to just have at least that forward pressure. They're no longer fighting over that choke point. They have multiple angles to approach this fight from. You can see 2 different sides now, forcing back Sotoras. They're still waiting on Royal Fatman, though. He's 9% away from a butterfly of his own, and that'll be the only G-Maneuver really active for this fight, unless One Trick Tony is able to pick up his G-Maneuver itself. He's got to be careful. Gets caught out by that axe, but he does end up dashing away. Garma ends up falling off the map, though, and now here it is. The screaming Nimbus for Hawks like to push on in to the defense. Royal Fatman off that butterfly will be able to find one off of that. That might be enough to try and stop this push.
But hold on, 2, 3 suits going down on the side of Sotoras. Royal Fatman is low, tries to go for the grab as a last ditch attempt. It's not going to work. The third tick has been activated off the map. There you go. And that is the perfect way to get a team kill, get the round, get the final point. Great stuff right there. You love to see it. Anytime anybody gets knocked into the soup, I'm a big fan.
And Tekka Dynasty have some change to work with in their pocket. A minute 21 remaining in their time bank. So Sotoras, they need to be able to finish this one out and match that time as well. It's really interesting to see the difference in compositions. No long-range snipers, you know, only the quasi-sniper in that turn A for Sotoras. Might be a different thing, though, once they get onto the offense.
I'm very actually curious about this this comp. We can see some of the stats right here. Of course, we've got some players like Unruly and Nostalgia popping off on that damage. I feel like 90% of that damage from Nostalgia was that huge butterfly, just to take out, I think it was like 3 people and get some damage on some others, which I think we saw Nostalgia doing that in one of the top plays in the video, the top plays video from the last event. So that's definitely a spot you just got to be careful for. I mean, it definitely is a spot you got to be careful for any turn A, but especially Nostalgia, who seems to be finding the right moments.
What's that? A turn A Gundam with a top play highlight? Say it ain't so. I mean, yeah, it's the turn A butterfly along with the Lancer. That was possibly over the last 2-3 events, the big highlight contributors overall. Now, though, getting a better look at the possible offensive lineup coming out from Sotoras. Royal Fatman has made that swap on over to that Gem Sniper, and so we'll see. Hawklight now will have a little bit more pressure put onto him.
I do like this change. I mean, I feel like you really got to have some sort of solid strategy, or just go for the Gym Sniper. And if you've got a good Gym Sniper, then you're fine. There is the possibility that they're just not super confident on Royal Fatman on the Gym Sniper. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Again, though, being on the offense, you have a little bit more lenience on the swap-offs, especially after you take point A. The respawn point is so extremely close to it that you can't instantly make that change if you need to. Both sides, though, just sizing each other up right now, fighting over the corners as you do here on Harbor City. Nostalgia, though, finds that first pick. They're still going to try and aggress with that man down, though, as Royal Fatman tries to find the angle. Garma does end up getting that repair as they find the pick onto One Trick Tony. Garma falling once more. That's going to be the 6v4 advantage for TKD as they continue to push forward.
And Keicho and Kone Moon, oh, they were going for a little bit of a 1v1 right there. Keicho ends up just barely winning that one out, but then, of course, you're vulnerable to being sniped. Yeah, there was not a lot of HP, and that new Gundam is still a gigantic target. So we're going to see, I mean, honestly, that was a weird fight, right? They were fighting so much together, and then all of a sudden, everybody split up into these little individual fights. There is another good opportunity here to push. They're taking it, but they were not able to really make that first push effective.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 47 seconds here as Hawklight finds another pick. Keicho going down. Now the repair gun will be able to get him back on in. Garma going down as well. And the defense just staunch right now. You can see they try to push up. They're still staggered, and we're seeing a little bit more of what you were talking about, just how split up these fights, these engagements become.
It's well, actually, you know what? I was gonna say it's tough when the engagements are split up because both of these teams have unicorns, but we actually are seeing a robot on the Methus, and we're only seeing the unicorn from Snore Bossman. Definitely a specialist, I would have to say, just from what we've seen as far as picks. But when they're fighting apart, that becomes such less of an effective pick, and the Methus puts in a lot more work, I feel, and that may be a little bit of what we're seeing. We are gonna see a pick, and this is a great opportunity, I was gonna say, to get onto the point. But there's picks on both sides now.
Yeah, it's the flanking Methus that comes out. Unruly, though, still alive, being able to pick up a second pick for his squad. And Nostalgia be part of that clean-up crew. A minute and 45 seconds here remaining in the time bank for Sotoras, and this is still just a fight over A. They have their work cut out for them. Even if they're able to get this point, will not have that much time. They'll have very few fights to try and fight for point B.
Which, of course, is one of the hardest points to fight for in the entire game, so uphill battle, I would say, for sure. Tekka Dynasty, though, they've shown that this is one of their best maps. I actually don't remember who picked the map, but I would have to assume there's a good chance it was them. They're continuing to hold tight. I love the fact that they didn't try to overcommit. They're holding some really great spots on this point, but here we go. We're seeing at least one G maneuver popped. We're going to see the funnels from Azor trying to close out this game. They're not going to have really another great push after this. Codename Mood is going down, but there's still 3 players down, 4 players down now on the side of Sotoras. They've got just one G maneuver for their final push. They're gonna have to make it count like right now, and they gotta not get staggered like that.
Yeah, typically you don't get to see a team fight win off of just a Sazabi G maneuver along with the energy cable, but again, when it comes down to these really staggered fights, really split up fights, you can eventually just wear them down. Now they have 3 incredibly strong G maneuvers available. Hawklight, no, he is just a G maneuver unto himself. Here comes out the butterfly from Nostalgia just for good measure to clean things up. The Hades gets popped as well, but you might as well go ahead and use that with only 15 seconds remaining now. Tekka Dynasty with an incredibly strong map number 1. 9 seconds remaining. Sotoras just needs to get someone onto the point, but Tekka Dynasty will not allow it whatsoever. Unruly gives his body for the win, and there it is. Tekka Dynasty taking our first map here in the lower bracket.
In a strong fashion. Like I mentioned, they are very, very good at this map. I do believe that's why we got that cool little graphic right there, just to show who picked what, I think. But we see Tekka Dynasty as really this kind of course, Nostalgic is the MVP, is the highlight reel, but we see Tekka Dynasty as just one of these best teams that we have around, and for a good reason. You know, they are very solid, and their aggression especially can really, really just run over some of these teams that are not as set in how they want to defend and things, and we can see that little bit of weakness from Sotoras. There were a lot of really good pushes, but once again, they were just not quite able to make it to exactly where they wanted to go.
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult, though, at the very least. A really good defense coming out from Sotoras, especially when it came down to that B site. But I like that they at least tried their hand to try and face off in that sniper battle, in the GM sniper battle, but it seemed like, you know, there was just too much pressure coming out from all the offensive picks that came out from Tekka Dynasty there on the defense. So amazing hold. We rarely get to see, you know, teams really holding it down there on the A site. That is probably one of the more difficult ones. We know because of that run back for the defense, but hey, as long as you don't die, you don't have to run back, right?
That's exactly how it works. But it does seem that they have a hand up in this set. Of course, they're going to be moving on to game number 2, but we're going to be taking a short break before that as we set up this next map. So we'll see if we can have a team decided for our top 4 tomorrow, or if we're going to be going to game 3 right after this.
All right, welcome back to Best of the West, and here is our summary of stats coming out from map number 1 on Harbor City. Tekka Dynasty get a convincing win there. Sotoras Esports, though, did show some glimmers of hope at the very least.
They did. It just seemed to me still like Tekka Dynasty is just that much more comfortable on Harbor City. They have chosen that in most of their sets. It's for sure one of their go-tos. I think a lot of teams maybe in the future would probably look to ban it if that ends up being a problem. But we can see some of these stats here and just how strong some of these players were. You can see the overall kill count for a robot on that support was ridiculous at 40. That's like, I mean, that's more than almost like 3 players combined on the other team, and 40 kills with a 20 KD ratio means there was only a couple deaths in there.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of the times, I'll be honest, I play a lot of Methus. The turret does a lot of work. The turret does a lot of work, especially in how fractured these fights were, right? If you're not making the right calls and you're not calling out the turret, it will be able to chunk you down quite a bit. So I'm not too surprised by that whatsoever, along with the assist that you get from the energy cable. But Unruly was doing an amazing job, along with Hawklight, both of our hit scan DPS players for that squad. On the Pale Rider and Gym Sniper, respectively.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a big difference, right, in this match, was the fact that they did have a Gym Sniper versus most of the time Sotoras did not have a Gym Sniper. They eventually tried it on Royal Fat Man, but the fact that they had it for part of the time was a pretty big deal, and it seemed like that changed a huge amount of what was going on there. Also, I think the support choices meant a lot, but everything could change, of course, in the next map as we move on here to a very different game type, going from one of the furthest range maps in the game to Mountain R&D, which is going to be a very close range map and a domination mission.
Yeah, we're seeing, of course, here on Mountain R&D, more and more of the brawlers, of the backliners coming into play. Not for this one quite particularly, but Sotoras will, of course, go ahead and play that one. Royal Fat Man on the Zaku 2 range. Boondiggles as well will be picking up that Barbados. So nothing to answer on the other side from Tekka Dynasty here, though. So they're going to put a lot of their eggs basically into the Unruly basket, and they do have the supportive fire of possibly the heavy arms. So let's go, let's see it.
I didn't want to say anything. I feel like you said it too quick, but no, they're actually going for it. We're finally going to have heavy arms from the start of the game. I'm very excited here. I'm curious how it's going to actually work out on this level. I'm sure if it gets the high ground, it's going to be extremely strong. Right now, we've already got One Trick Tony getting melted. That heavy arms is going to be so good at breaking down the shields of that Sazabi if he can get into a good position.
That's one of the big things, right, that we've seen so far in this matchup. It's that zombie pressure that they're able to put on. Not just the regular DPS, but a robot. We saw the damage line that he was able to put out for himself will ultimately end up going down there, but as the point of luck, it's B, by the way. It is going to go the way of Tekka Dynasty. Still scrapping over the point of the points. The forces are here to try and reinforce as they charge forward. They find the pick onto the sword, and they will be able to flip the point.
Well, Fat Man putting a lot of work on this Zaku 2 range, which is going to be, of course, a great suit for this map. We saw that even when there wasn't that much, we saw it a lot on this map.
Yeah, drop down to 6 HP was extremely close to going down there, but he will be able to survive. Only 10% there for Tekka Dynasty as they try to go for that lead take on the point B. Nostalgia charges on in, but Royal Fat Man finds the flank in the back. And there it is, Boondiggles for the follow-up. That's a 2-for-2 exchange, but they end up getting the repair onto their Unicorn to get him back on up. So the point is still maintained. It looks like they will get the last bit of percentage as we swap on over to point C.
Now, I do, of course, really like the heavy arms pick on this map. I feel like it's good range for it, but it definitely wasn't the best at B. It felt like it wasn't able to get into good positioning. It kind of has to find its spot, and now I feel like if we can see it exactly where it is, sitting up on this high ground in a more comfortable position, that's where we're going to see it potentially start popping off. But Sotoras is still remaining in control of this game. We are going to finally see a kill from Nostalgia on that heavy arms, but there is a brawl going on for that high ground, and nobody's really losing that many players so far.
Yeah, Boondiggles has his team maneuver. He's going to go ahead and pop that to pick up 2. And now maybe a third for good measure. No, he has to back away because he was dropped down low throughout all that chaos, though. Tekka Dynasty were able to get a little bit of progress there on the point. Still, Asor alive. Nostalgia tagging in to try and delay things. Hawklight now as well. Screaming Nimbus just to try and get a little bit of percentage, but he ends up going off the point, and so it's flipped back on over for Sotoras, who are now sitting at 40%.
Managing to survive is good, but the fact that that was used with all help that was basically going to be healed back up, I'm not sure if that was the exact moment to use that Screaming Nimbus and move up the point, right? Like, if it just stayed on the point, at least it would have presented all that percentage that would have just not been able to be taken. But now that we're here, this is a pretty solid lead for Sotoras. We're going back to B, actually. 2 Bs in 1 round. What a miracle. And it's going to be back in 5 seconds, so we'll see how they reposition here.
Now we have a lot of G maneuvers coming online for either side. It looks like 3 for 3 Asor. As this funnels, we've got the Unicorn G maneuver along with a barrage, and it might be the first barrage we actually see here in competitive Gundam Evolution. But the trades are coming out. The barrage not utilized quite yet. Keizo trying to hold it down here in the back line. He does have that the napalm, the super napalm to throw down. We didn't even get to talk about it, but yeah, we do have the Gundam coming in for Sotoras here. They are set up, playing off the choke. The point is about to unlock.
That can be such a huge G maneuver here, but we'll see if it can be effectively used. There are spots where you can't use it at all. It is going to go off, and it's going to be able to hold that choke a little bit, or at least give them the opportunity to like reposition around it and stop Team Tekka Dynasty from moving in. So I really like that usage a lot, just to control the space. And right now, Tekka Dynasty fighting back for some of this percentage as they're holding on to B.
Oh, Unruly barely staying alive with this repair kit there, but it is Tekka Dynasty now forcing Sotoras off the point. 78%. That's how much Sotoras were able to pick up. And now 36 and ticking. Nostalgia still sitting on this barrage, though. We'll see if anyone ends up running into that funnel. But with only 15% remaining, or 15 seconds remaining, I have to imagine Sotoras are going to go ahead and set up for point C.
And you can see at least a couple of the players are up here. We've got a Dom, we've got a Suzabi. So a pretty good, solid defensive line up here on this high ground, just trying to hold on to it. You can see right now the Screaming Nimbus is available to try and potentially take this point. This could be the final one if Sotoras can grab it and hold on to it. They've got a couple G maneuvers working on almost every single one, but there's the barrage. Nice double kill and a third follow-up. That is amazing for the first one we get to see on stream.
Oh, and you saw Sotoras that entire time. They were worried about that flank. We know how you have to fight over that platform, fight over the high ground, and that is one of the best angles to approach when you're trying to force a team off. So Tekka Dynasty, they were a little bit patient on that barrage, but you saw that it finally paid off. And then Melee now coming in now with that Screaming Nimbus, but he needs the rest of his team. A lot of G maneuvers online, but it's getting shut down by Tekka Dynasty. And despite having the power advantage here, they only end up finding that one pick. Boondiggles in the back line, finds one more, might go down, is able to jump out in time out of the fire. Someone needs to get onto the point for Tekka Dynasty as Sotoras now flips it over in their favor.
Wow, after all that, I mean, it was a great hold that tied things up, but they were so far behind. Tekka Dynasty needs to find a take here, but they're being held really far forward. We saw this from Mafty, and Sotoras is like, hey, hold on, we can do this too. That's what I say. The experience is huge, being able to play against a team like that. Only 3% left. Will anybody be able to get on the point? One person on extra time activated. Which is activating the funnels. They just need to clean up this team here. Really going down. We're going to see a robot very, very low, but there's actually enough to challenge very well here. This could be a retake.
The Super Napalm goes down for Sotoras, so to try and finish things off. Sotoras still alive for his squad. Nostalgia with 75 HP will ultimately fall as extra time ticks away. That's Sotoras taking round number 1 here on Mountain R&D.
Oh my gosh, that was so close. Everybody left on the side of Sotoras was at like 10% of their life maximum. That was wild. That was just a few hits away from completely turning the other direction, and whoever won that fight was almost guaranteed to win that round. That was super close. A great comeback from Tekka Dynasty. Not quite soon enough, but I'm glad to see, especially after Sotoras kind of suffered I would say a tough loss in their last set. They are looking strong, and you love to see it.
Yeah, one issue that I have to note here is just that they don't have the same kind of tools to really deal with our Barbados jumping into the back line, Royal Fatman as well on that Zakutu range. They don't have the CC to lock anyone down. They're kind of suffering for it. I want to see some sort of adjustment to try and bring them back into line and make sure that that backline threat isn't as heavy. But right now, it looks like Tekka Dynasty will be sticking with what they went with in that first round for Sotoras. They're not changing up much either, and so Keiicho will be sticking with that Gundam, and it looks like we will continue to have that backline threat of the Barbados and the Zakutu ranged.
And you can see here that this was, of course, the pick for Sotoras Esports on the graphic. And that means that this is where they're more comfortable. So both teams really doing well on the maps that they're more comfortable on. The decider was picked by Tekka Dynasty if we get to that point. But right now, we are going to see Sotoras get 2 picks. They're going to lose one of their own. This is Zabi going down. But it looks like overall, they are winning this fight pretty strong. And they are going to immediately go for that far forward hold. However, there's a few picks on the other side. I believe at least Sotoras should be locking down, getting this off the bat, but this fight could easily turn the other direction.
Yeah, this is going to be CACA, it seems like, right now, as Tekka Dynasty are going to try and charge forward, but Boondiggles, once again, finds a pick. He gives his life for that one, though, as the point flips on over for Tekka Dynasty. It was only 8% that the Sotoras were able to pick up on that one. And now this is where you worry if your Sotoras having that high ground angle to really be able to play off of the Pale Rider, play off of the heavy arms. This could be so incredibly hard to push. You have to really rely, once again, upon your Barbados to find an opening.
Yeah, I mean, until you at least get that that G maneuver from the heavy arms that we saw to initiate that push, which was such a cool way to do it. You don't really have a lot of time to react to it, so it can really turn the tables before they even get an opportunity to choose anything. But Codemoon will be taking out One Trick Tony. One Trick Tony going down, getting focused so heavily, probably because there's just so much ammo, you could say, on the side of Tekka Dynasty. They've got the Unicorn, they've got the heavy arms, there are just bullets flying everywhere. But we've got now a couple picks on the side of Sotoras as they're going to be fighting for A now. He's jumping over.
Yeah, and I like this early maneuver, right? Typically, it's just kind of transition and rotate over for the next point. Instead, they were able to fight over C because we get to see that hop on over. That's the rotate. That's all you need to worry about. And so they denied that away from Tekka Dynasty. Keiicho here on the left by himself. We do have the Super Napalm going on and down. Boondiggles jumps in as well. I don't think it was just a supportive Super Napalm as he ends up spotting one more. The Ash Smart is there. Lost him for a quick second, but they will be able to clean that up. Now we do have the contest on to point A, but ultimately it will be Sotoras taking it.
At least that Super Napalm did, like I said, control a lot of the space. That's a huge deal of it, right? You just can't push past it. There's zero way to push past it. It allowed them to at least get their positioning a little bit stronger, get the point guaranteed to start things off. But here we go. We see Nostalgia, and we do see the G maneuver available. We'll see if we see another cool flip into it. But the problem is, if Nostalgia can even get that close without getting melted themselves.
Oh, they try to answer for that flank coming out, and they end up dropping down 2 members. You can see the forces of Sotoras having to back away because they no longer have that same kind of presence up top. Tekka Dynasty are trying that similar maneuver, jumping on over. They'll just go ahead and force that high ground position away, maybe sneak 1 or 2 percentage points, but we'll be going back on over to C. Keiicho holding his ground right now in the face of 3 members of Tekka Dynasty to try and at least apply a little bit of pressure there.
And this high ground positioning is exactly what they want as C begins to unlock. We're only about 15 seconds away. They're a little bit split up on the side of Sotoras. They've got a few people on the A side trying to flank over. We've got Boondiggles all the way over opposite trying to flank the flank, you know, like just kind of take advantage of the distraction. And there we go. We're going to see 2 kills off of that Barbados G maneuver. We're going to see the barrage to cancel it out, though, getting 3 overall, 4 overall. That was a great way to jump up there. That is looking to be actually such a strong G maneuver. I may have underestimated it early on in this character's life, but that's going to mean that we are still holding on here as Tekka Dynasty.
Yeah, and 2 plays in 1 there for Nostalgia. He was able to get positioning on that point. He was able to get that for his squad and then make the play right afterward. So great presence of mind, but here's the Screaming Nimbus, countered by Hawklight on the other side, so no follow from either side. The Super Napalm ends up finding 1. Nostalgia goes down, Melee in the thick of things here, and it's all going the way of Sotoras. Finally, a few traded back and forth. The Tekka Dynasty only have one alive. It's Unruly trying his best to delay things for as long as possible. Sotoras, though, will pick up the last little bits here on C as we go back on over to point A.
I feel like maybe they should have just pre-positioned and allowed Tekka Dynasty to get the rest of it, because if Tekka Dynasty gets this point, this will still be the final point for them if they can hold on to it. And now look at this. They've got to fight back into some tough positioning. They're here overall, and oh, that's a huge Hinox slash. That's going to be the follow-up on at least one suit. Going for that health pack. I think they're going to be able to get down another. So this is looking overall pretty decent, but a robot's coming in, going to give a lot of that support, and as we know, doing a lot of damage as well, as they're just cleaning up, and this could be the final point for Tekka Dynasty as they're going to be taking care of it.
Oh, Boondiggle's getting chased down, but Hawklight not able to land those direct rockets onto him. Dropped down to 1 HP, but he's able to survive and back away. Sotoras only have one G maneuver for this fight. Nothing quite yet for Tekka Dynasty, but they have the punch. Code name Mood now just one shot away, and they find a pick onto the Unicorn. They want to finish things off strong. 97%. Boondiggles is on the point. Hawklight is the one contesting it, though. And now, as they clean up two more, that Ashmar punch isn't even needed there. Tekka Dynasty will tie things up here on Mountain R&D, putting them on match point.
Only need one more round to secure their spot in day 2 and in the top 4 for this tournament. They played a very similar strategy. They just didn't let the early game get away from them nearly as much, I would say. They're using obviously I was really excited to see the heavy arms, and I feel like they've been using it really well. Nostalgia putting on quite the show, but oh my gosh, you look at this damage. 46,000 from Hawklight? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, and it's only going to go up. We have one more round here on Mountain R&D, so we'll see if he can hit the 60K, maybe the 70K to finish things off. But it's all going to come down to this. Can Sotoras keep their tournament hopes alive? Send us to a map number 3, or will Tekka Dynasty finish it out in a 2-0 fashion?
Well, if they keep playing how they have been, it seems like they've made the adaptation. Now we got to see how Sotoras kind of adapts to the adaptation. You know, it's the double adaptation. It's just how these sets tend to go, especially when you're playing on a domination map where you get these rounds where you have time to change your strategies up in between. It's not just one big lost opportunity. You can take some time to learn, but we're going to see Boondiggles just go in, get the slam immediately. Not going to be able to get full mileage out of it, but at the very minimum, causing a lot of that team to turn around. However, it was not enough. We're going to have a pretty heavy brawl up here, but the high ground for sure going to Tekka Dynasty at least, which is going to be a big advantage.
Yeah, the high ground along with the numbers advantage as well. Point unlocked. That is going to be Tekka Dynasty picking that one up. Boondiggle still remaining that threat on that Barbados. Hasn't been able to find the same kind of success as he did on round number 1, but he's still eyeing it. You can see a robot keeping an eye on that angle, even sending out those funnels to try and push him back and make sure he doesn't push out. That is going to be his window, though. There's one less CC now for them to play off of. Royal Fatman on the front lines with his squad will try and charge forward. A robot ends up picking up that kill, and you can see, though, the Sasabi pressure coming up from either side. They know that's where you need to apply that pressure. You need to take out that front line, as we do have the point, flipping on over for Sotoras. I don't think they'll get the large majority of this. Royal Fatman still trying his best to survive. 67 HP, backs away with that smoke grenade, and it's Sotoras now with the lead in terms of percentage.
Just barely, but once again, they fought really hard for only about, 10 seconds of this point. Now, they are really close in percentages, so that was really important to break that tie, but now they have to reposition, and you can see here that Tekka Dynasty is already kind of on this high ground a lot more than, they were at least. They actually all just backed off. Asura kind of getting caught out a little bit far forward as the rest of the team backed up, and a lot of them, I think, were scared of that Zaku 2 ranged.
Oh, you can see Nostalgia almost going down there, but will be able to survive. And now, as the point unlocks, they need to get some numbers here. They've got the barrage ready, but they don't need it at all. As they charge forward, they will be able to clean up the remnants of Sotoras. They'll take point C. One Trick Toady is back on the front lines, but his shield is basically gone, and he needs to back away. Once again, Tekka Dynasty putting so much reliance upon their damage dealers here on the high ground. Boondiggles has been finding it so much more incredibly difficult to try and find his openings, TKD have been doing an amazing job of just keeping tabs of him and knowing where that threat is coming from. Keijo, long range, but mid-air. Hawklight is able to laser down that super napalm.
What a shot! That was awesome. That was amazing. Hawklight, kind of one of my MVPs of all of today, to be honest, whether it be on the Zim Sniper or the classic Dom. But nice little jump over the little mid pit right there. I feel like Heavy Arms gets to play a lot of really fun little mobility angles on this map and tries to flank around One Trick Tony and then jump over the wall. Exactly what I was saying. Finally goes down, but you can see this looks like a fun suit for this map.
And that was just some great delay as well with those aerobatics coming out from Tekka Dynasty. They get basically the full percentage there, 65.4% for them. And now we're going underground for point B. The early setup coming out from Sotoras, and they have a lot of G maneuvers to play off of here. Look at that Screaming Nimbus, the funnels along with the G maneuver, the Unicorn G maneuver here, but it's the Screaming Nimbus as they charge on forward along with the Barbados G maneuver to clean things up. The point's going to unlock, and they're not going to take their chances whatsoever. They will not allow TKD any presence here on point B.
I actually really like his aggressiveness to try to tie things up. Boss Man just going to throw a few more random shots out there just to try to get as much damage as possible, as much mileage as you can get out of that G maneuver. But that does mean now that the resources are more in the favor of Tekka Dynasty for a repush here. However, it's going to take them a little bit more time to actually get into this fight. You can see they're still held in this choke point at the ramp by their spawn. And by the time they get in there, and if they retake it, they might only be able to get like 15 or so seconds. It would be really nice for them though to get a little bit more percentage here so that they can guarantee the next point that they take can be a win, because I'm not sure they're quite there yet.
Ooh, Loyal Fat Man is able to pick up 2 there, even though Tekka Dynasty had the advantage. Try to push in the choke. You can see how difficult it can be. One Trick Tony does have to back away. There's only 5% remaining here, so Sotoras now taking the lead overall. We are going back up. It's going to be points A for the final fight now. As you can see, Hawklight taking instant pressure, applying that with Unruly to take out 2 with the help of Codename Moon. One Trick Tony getting focused down. Again, these teams are so good about focusing down to zombies.
And we did see the Super Napalm come out. It was able to control a little bit of space, but ooh, nice shot from a robot through that lane in the middle. And that's going to be 2 picks here now from that G maneuver. That's a great positioning for Tekka Dynasty to get on this point. We do see Nostalgia kind of in the back, trying to find some good positioning, getting back up to this high ground to be able to melt down this shield pressure. Actually, the Zombie shield's already gone, I think, but here we go. A great jump from Boondiggles.
Oh, he ends up falling though. It was a 2v1, and unfortunately, that was a small window that he had. Now we do have Codename Moon going in. Big punch along with the flame to follow up. Got the funnels coming out. That G maneuver of the Sazabi will be ending. And now we've got the Hades and the Barrage to finish things off for Tekka Dynasty. 10% remaining, and Sotoras needed to regroup quickly to try and contest one last time.
They have to get on site now. Boondiggles will be the one who at least touches the point. Oh, actually got a recap on the point. That was weird. But now they've got to stay on this 100% of the time. But how are they going to do that when Nostalgia is popping off on the Heavy Arms? That's a team kill. That is a game win, and that is a set win. Closed out by that Heavy Arms. A strong showing in its first tournament of the, I guess just his first tournament of the series. It's not even a series, just its first tournament here. Great stuff from Nostalgia. Great stuff from Tekka Dynasty.
Yeah, Tekka Dynasty keep themselves alive. They'll be moving on to tomorrow's games, but unfortunately that means Sotoras has been knocked out, but they put up a really great fight here. Despite what we saw on map number 1, where it looked fairly one-sided, they had a lot more fight left in them, sent us to a round number 3, and even brought us down to an extremely close scoreline at the end. Boondiggles was doing an amazing job on that Barbados, but we got to see Tekka Dynasty putting a lot more focus on that Barb, keeping tabs on him. That's one of the most important things when it comes to playing against the Brawlers, just knowing where they are.
I agree. I think that especially on this map in particular, right, being able to control a lot of these potential backliners, there's so many different routes that you can take to get behind people, and so these brawlers are a huge key important part of this, I guess, I don't know, the meta of that map, and how you deal with it as a group, how you counter them, what your options are against them, and overall it's just it was kind of like a death ball strategy, and a lot more taking the high ground from Tekka Dynasty that worked out, in my opinion. And we saw a lot, I would say, of Sotoras kind of pushing that low ground. But regardless, they played very well. It was just a small adaptation in the end to pull it to a very close game. So great stuff to Sotoras Esports. They will be making it out at 5th place, but that's going to be where they end as we see Tekka Dynasty moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. And we have one final match for today. Before we close things out. And so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll have one more match there in the lower bracket right after this break.